welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for this short webinar. I'm Annette Watkins with Workforce Connection, and I'll let Ryan introduce himself.
My name is Ryan McAllister. I'm a workshop facilitator over here that specializes in job readiness. So we're very happy to have you in here. And we wanted to bring to you guys some information just to help you better prepare for this Govaganza job fair. It is a little bit different from a typical job fair. And so there's definitely some things we want to cover from what we saw last year and incorporate that into this year's job fair. So we are going to continue with those slides coming up. All right, so job fair strategies to pursue your dream career in government or educational sectors. So I think job fair sometimes can be very overwhelming. And I don't know about you guys, but stuff that I've seen in the past is there tends to be the same people showing up to job fairs, the same employers. And I think sometimes we get numb to the norm. This is where Govaganza kind of stands out amongst the rest, is because it's strictly for targeting government jobs. To apply to government jobs, there is a different process. And so really, we want you to get a great opportunity out of this situation to network. I don't know how often you guys have networked in your past, but really it's a chance to really get to know the employer firsthand. In this presentation, we'd like to share these tips and advice on how to make that great first impression and how to pursue the places that you're really interested in. Not everybody might be worth your time. I want you to check out all the booths and get that opportunity to be able to shake hands and rub elbows with the people that are running Fresno. And so, you'll learn how to, make a plan, network, and hopefully follow up. It's definitely something that, we want you to do.
Right. And just be proactive in getting ready to be at an event like this. There's a lot of things that you can do to really help yourself stand out, but also gain really valuable information and resources. So we hope that you'll enjoy the event and get opportunities to get started in really good career fields. So get ready to shine.
So first thing we want to do is definitely plan for success. So here are some things that we can do beforehand to make sure that your time is well spent and productive. We're all coming from Workforce Connection as far as staff goes, and me and Annette. So definitely use the resources to create and print resumes ahead of time, letters of introduction, anything you might have possibly in a file or something you might be able to get now. And, check out our resource room, over here in Fresno. Also register for the event if you haven't already in advance. Due to specific application processes, there may be department personnel who won't be able to accept resumes. And that is okay because, government does things a different way. It's very structured. So this will be your chance to find out what that structure is for them. And each booth will tell you a little bit about how you apply to their particular industry. I think one of the most important parts of getting any type of job opportunity or network is to dress the part. Something that me and Annette saw last year were, people who we didn't know that were just, driving by and thought they'd come by and check it out. But I mean, they're in shorts and flip-flops and, they weren't necessarily taken serious by an employer. And that's where you guys have the edge, the mental edge ahead of time, is they get to see a professional at work right then and there. And so, statistically proven, 55% of getting the job is how you look. And so I like to think that's the easy part if we know ahead of time. And so please be memorable. I don't want you to be memorable in the wrong ways, the right ways, right? And so determine what you're going to wear ahead of time. So that you can make that impression. Keep well-groomed, hygiene, obviously those things are important, and take time to look your best. So they have those good memories.
If I could add something too, Ryan, sometimes we think, oh, they shouldn't care what I look like, right? But we want to show them we do care. We care about our appearance, the face that we're going to be for their organization at some point in time. So taking that extra time ahead of time is going to show that you actually do care very much about that, how you're representing the organization. So we want them to know that you do care. It's important. So that's why we want to make sure when you show up, look good, look very professional, and like you've taken the time to put yourself together.
Yeah, and it's not always just about appearance too. Developing an elevator speech. Sometimes we develop it preparing for the interview. Sometimes it can come in the form of tell me about yourself. But they might not be asking you that. You might be the one that's engaging first, right? And you're going to approach them and, to kind of have that small professional small talk. And so develop an elevator pitch that you can introduce yourself with confidence, speak about your skills, experience, goals, maybe a little about your history, and ask good questions. And what I do love about job fairs, just in general, let alone this one, is you get a chance to ask the bosses or people who are running it the behind the scenes that no one else knows. If you ask, you get. If you don't ask, you don't get. And so, in this day and age of finding what the unfair advantage is, I want you to have it. And so, why are they hiring for this position? What can you expect? These are all great questions. What is their 5-year outlook? How do they plan on growing? Only you get that information if you ask. Nobody else does. At job fairs, you see a lot of shy people too that just collect, notepads and pens and trick-or-treating for adults. um, I want you utilizing your time, having one-on-one with them and making that impression. So don't feel that you can't ask them questions, because at the end of the day, this is your career too that you're hoping to mold, right? Anything on that, Annette?
Well, yeah, and Ryan kind of hit on that a little earlier, that with the government sector especially, there's a very specific process that you have to go through to apply. So, it's a lot more information than sometimes we're providing for other types of employment. There's reference letters, sometimes they do background checks, there's testing and assessments and things like that too. So another good thing about engaging with the personnel from those different departments is you can ask them about that process, maybe tips or tricks that they have for things that help them get through that process, things that will make that a little easier. And some of them may even have some material, some flyers and things that kind of tell you what those step by steps are. So be sure to ask those questions. The other thing that's kind of cool about the government sector, a lot of times we think it's just like administrative types of positions. There's all different kinds of positions within the government sector. So asking them, especially if you have an area of interest, where do you think that this might fit in with, having these skills or having this kind of experience or education? They might even be able to point you in the direction of other departments that could use those skills too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think about this quite often. And I was talking to my class today, this morning, about this is, we live in a day and age where social media and technology has really kind of been a force now. And that there are some people that only communicate on social media. And, I'd like to think if you know how to talk to people and the tech side of things too, you have an advantage very few people have, because a lot of the times you're one or the other. And it's sometimes hard to find the middle ground. Um, think about it this way. Anytime that you're trying to connect with somebody professionally, in the outside world, they have a short attention span, and that is not your fault. That is due to TikTok, that is due to Instagram, that is due to social media. But if you know how the psychology of all this works, is you have about a 30 to 60-second elevator pitch to get their interest. If you are not interesting, they move on to the next, right? And so if we know that they have their own algorithm, this is a way that we can win. Give them what they need, take out what they don't. And really, we want the professional character to shine. And so I always feel that that gives us an edge when we know, all right, this is business, right? This is what we do, versus, small talk that goes nowhere, right? So that being said, we also want to make sure that we're prepared. We could show up early. And by doing that, we have to make arrangements. Now, I'm a parent. A lot of people are parents. We got to make sure that the child care is all in order, right? You have a neighbor that can watch the kids, you have child care, family, make travel arrangements, knowing where this is going to be held at, right? And you definitely don't want to arrive towards the end of the interview, because who knows in each booth's head whether they already got their potential people that they want to do business with or contact. I've always been told the early bird gets the worm, and I couldn't agree more with job fairs. I want their time all to myself, and the early person's gonna have that. The person that comes in late has got to wait in line. And so I don't want that for anybody. So let's show up ready to go. Um, Also, too, there may be employers who leave the events early, and you don't want to miss them. But what we don't plan on that. We plan on them going the distance, right? But I don't want to risk it. Earlier the better. Then you get to pick and choose who you want to spend the most time with.
And sometimes you'll see like career resource fairs, and that those might be more appropriate to bring kids to. But we highly recommend don't bring the kids to a job fair like this, especially big ones for the government and education sectors. You want to again bring your professional self and get to have those one-on-one conversations with the personnel from those different departments. So that part's really important. And then as far as the travel arrangements, it is downtown Fresno. So, making sure you know where you can park. If somebody's going to drop you off, if you're going to be taking the bus, do research that a little bit ahead of time so you have a game plan there. And Ryan's right. You want to get there on the front end. There are going to be a lot of the departments there, and you may want to talk to numerous different tables. So if you get there towards the end, maybe you only get to one or two of those. So you want to make the most of leveraging your time here at the job fair and see as many of those resources as possible. And then again, don't take that chance that you're going to get there late and somebody's going to have already left that you wanted to speak to. That part's important. And then another cool thing with this particular job fair is we're going to have some other really cool resources there too. So we'll have a typing certificate area. You can do the workforce connection orientation if you haven't done that before. There's a dress for success. There's going to be a little photo booth kind of a thing that you could do. Resume critique. So even though there might be personnel that won't take your resumes there, you can bring your resume and some of our staff will be there to do some critiquing for you as well. So there's more than just the potential for the employers there. You can learn some other valuable information while you're there too.
So network for job fair success. Government and educational sectors, the application process, as we've mentioned before, is definitely different. Don't be surprised if departments don't ask for your resume. These industry application processes must be followed. So they all have their own kind of set of rules. So network with personnel to learn about these processes so that you're educated ahead of time and that you could beat the competition to the punch, right? So learn the specific hiring criteria to address any gaps that you may have. And we want to go to the event with a great attitude. I actually practice this a lot with my class. Is there are some times you guys got personal stuff going on behind the scenes, and sometimes that does affect attitude. One thing that I've always been told is, no matter how you're feeling in a moment, is that you can change your tone, which in some cases can change other people's attitude by just smiling. It is one of the cheapest things you can do that has the greatest benefits. And that even if you're not feeling in the moment, because we might have life doing its thing behind the scenes, smiling changes how you sound. And just like I said, 55% is getting the job, is how you look. 38% is how you sound. And this does not count the content that comes out of your voice or out of your mouth. So I do believe that that's very important, that we want to make sure that we're changing that, that outlook, that attitude. And that, this is your opportunity to meet someone new that can change your life, whether it's your next coworker, your next boss, your next whoever. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, Ryan mentioned too about addressing any gaps you have. So maybe you're talking to somebody from, the city or the county, and there's a job you're really interested for, and you don't meet all the hiring criteria just yet. That doesn't mean that you can't ever, right? So then it's kind of figuring out now, where are my gaps for the career that I want to get into? How can I address them? Is it further education? Is it certifications? Is it specific kinds of experience? And many times that's where organizations like our Workforce Connection services can help you fill those gaps so that you are prepared for the career fields you want to go into. So don't get discouraged if you're not there yet. It's just a chance to know what direction you really need to get going.
So what is your goal? To learn about the application process being probably it's a great idea to do that. To find out more details about a department or position that is open. Remember too, is just even if a position is not open now, if they like you, is it possible they find a way to get you into maybe something that maybe in the moment right now it's not open, But if you make a great first impression, it is possible that they could create something or think of you or consider you for a different position that's going to come up into the future, which is not out of the norm. So you definitely want to get business cards. You want to get the people's contact information, and business cards are fantastic. It's one of the things I also encourage people to do just in networking in life and in general is to keep business cards on them. You know, you can get generic business cards with your information, but when you get it from other people, those business cards tell you a lot about how the structure works. It tells you whether they're a boss or whether they have somebody to answer to. It gives you their email, it gives you their phone number. And something that I will always do is ask permission to contact them, right? If they're giving out cards, they're giving it out for a reason, and I'm going to use it should I get that permission, right? And definitely to improve your networking skills. Another thing that I would strongly encourage you guys to constantly do is to stop making networking a job and make it a lifestyle. Do we all agree here that in Fresno, it probably could take Fresno County would probably take 5 years to create a good reputation, but all it takes is 5 minutes to destroy one. And so I need us thinking about that. Networking skills got to be life. It's got to be what you do. Because I think a lot of people in this room have probably gotten opportunities by talking to somebody or knowing someone, and that it's not all just applying online, right? These are great opportunities to do that. And so we talk about physical presence already, not only just good appearance, but posture tells a story. Eye contact tells the story. You can't be asking them questions and looking down on the ground. We talked about smiling already, but mainly be genuine, be the professional version of you. We all have different personality types when life happens. You know, when you're around family, you talk to family a certain way. When you're around your friends, you might not mind your P's and Q's as much. But when you're in front of professional people, we button it up, right? And we are the professional version of us. I want to make sure that they see that. Basically, their next hire. Can I see myself working long term with them? Good communication, a favorite of mine, and something that we talk about quite often is the 80-20 rule. I don't want you to think that networking has to be you talking 24/7. If anything, I think it's the opposite. I talk 20% and listen 80% because they're going to tell me everything I need to know to win. They're going to tell me how to apply. They're going to tell me why maybe the position's open and what they're looking for out of their next candidate. I don't get any of that by talking. I can start the conversation and then pull back and listen. And what they say, there's a bigger picture in there. I got to pick it apart and say, all right, here's where their head's at. Here's where they're going with, and I'm the solution, right? And so we want to be engaged, and we do that non-verbally and verbally. And make sure that if you do ask them questions, that they're thoughtful questions, that there's something where you could get something out of it and not just vanilla. Build trust and rapport. And we definitely want to share relevant information about you, the professional you.
Absolutely. And, with that professional appearance too, and we're just basing this too on some observations from other job fairs that we've gone to, is being really careful. We may not necessarily always have the fanciest clothes or what have you, but really be careful about things like sometimes people have t-shirts and there might be things that could be offensive to other individuals. So we want to really, veer away from that. Or sometimes, people are a little anxious. So maybe they, sat in their car and smoked or did something like that. And then they come out and that fragrance is wafting, following them everywhere they go. So again, that also might not be the best way to present yourself the first time you meet somebody. So be very conscientious about those things. That part's really important. And again, that good communication, be actively involved and enjoy the moment. You're getting a chance to meet some great new people.
Yeah, and part of that professionalism, it does have, I mean, let's say you do bring your resume with you and for whatever reason, they do take a look at it. Maybe they don't accept it fully, but they take a look at it. We want to make sure that the emails are professional. And there is no rule that says you can have more than one. Emails are free and they take a few minutes to make. And to be completely honest, anytime I would ever look at changing into a new career or a new industry, I just create a new email. That way I don't have it littered with spam and it's strictly for the moment. And there's no rule that says you can't do that. Um, put your name in a sequence of numbers, and make sure that it's professional and they know it's you, versus an alias or versus something else where they can get the wrong impression, right? Um, so, one of the things that you are probably going to want to collect at the table is, like we mentioned earlier, is yeah, they're going to have some extra stuff and some fun and all that, but the business cards are huge. So get that contact information ahead of time. Now, you see on here, it says thank you notes. This could also come in the form of possibly an email. And so if you got their business cards, you have their contacts, you have their email, it might be a little easier that if you're collecting cards to send out an email. But here is the beautiful part of it. If you make a great first impression and you have a personal conversation with whatever table it is, your email should follow up on that conversation so they remember you. If you've made a memorable move, they will remember you off of that email, more likely to hire somebody who they had a great conversation with, somebody that maybe reminds them of them. So that thank you card could have a lot of things entailed in it. And a lot of the times it's the questions that you ask them, and whatever they tell you, maybe that's where the connection is. Oh, yes, that's like me. Tell me a time, or how long have you worked here? What do you love most about your industry? Guess what? I'm using that in the emails and say, you know what, when we had that conversation for X amount of minutes, you had hit on something that is very important to me, and you just drive it home. Um, future references, possibly you can develop them. Maybe they have a LinkedIn presence. There's a lot of city people that do, county, state, city, everybody's plugged in. And a lot of the times that's usually what I teach on how to get work and how to get recognized opportunities are meeting them out in the real world, following up digitally, and being able to DM them and have a conversation that no one else can just have in this world because they always feel they have to just submit online, but you can talk to them too ahead of time because you are interviewing them as well. And so take flyers and materials as much as you can, again, on how to apply, other announcements that might be coming up, details to customize your resume. I'm going to be working the resume both, so if anybody wants to swing by and say what's up, me and I think 6 other people are going to be there, and we can kind of help strategize on maybe the moves that we can make, adjustments that we can do, and I might tell you some things that could get you on the radar, and the information about the department. And then maybe that day we begin the application process, right? We definitely want to use Linktree to provide that quick access to the websites. And yes, government jobs can be a lengthy process, and there's many reasons why. Most government jobs want your life story. Now, if you ask me, I have to go back to the think tank and see, okay, what's the time I started somewhere? What's the time you finished? But they don't just want 10 years. They don't just want 5 years. They want as far back as you can go. And that might cause us to call some HR departments. That might cause us to go down a rabbit hole of, where I can find these things because maybe the place doesn't exist anymore. Maybe it's been bought out. Maybe there's a lot of maybes, right? And so we definitely want to make sure that we prepare ourselves prior to the things that could happen. Creating a master resume application is not a bad idea. Basically, what a master resume or master application does is if you create it ahead of time, you're not starting from scratch every single moment. You're starting from something big and you can tone it down a little bit, right? You could throw out what they don't care about and keep what they do care about in there to stay relevant. And so I don't want you to think that you can't prioritize ahead of time. This also might be getting certificates that you need, like a diploma or something that's boxed away somewhere. What if they need you to have your GED or diploma and you have it and you say you have it, but it's boxed up in the garage somewhere because we packed it up on a move? What if they want to interview you ASAP? You're going to have to go look. And I don't want you to lose an opportunity because someone else who's less qualified than you finds it first. And so let's do the heavy work now so that you don't have to drive yourself crazy later. And I think that that's going to help out a lot. And there is possibility that you do have to take exams, depending on what the position is or the department. They might ask you to do that. That's possibly part of the interview process. And so just FYI, our Govaganza, we might be able to find that out ahead of time, case you need to brush up on something, brush up on a little math, graphic literacy, whatever it is, reading comprehension. So again, just to kind of help you win.
And
And
Ray, can
then
I add something here?
yes,
So
please.
guys, this is also super cool. When you register, when you come into the event, one of the things that you're going to get is a little sheet that it has a link tree on there. And that link tree is going to take you to the links for all of the websites for the organizations that are there. So that'll help you, when you get home, then you can, scan that in. You have links to whether it's USA Jobs or for the state of California. So that'll be a big help for you. And then you can start doing a little bit more of your research. And most of those sites actually have really good information on their application process. So take a little time to look around and see what you can find out while you're in there. All right, Ryan, are you still there?
Yeah. Did you
Okay.
click on it?
No, I didn't click on it. It's something that's going to be included when the individuals come in that little link tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to click on the next slide?
Oh, sorry. But we also wanted to encourage you, if you're not already with Workforce Connection, this can be a great opportunity, using that resource room to conduct your job search, or if you need to get access to apply for the jobs, print out resumes, print out job descriptions, things like that. Our resource rooms are available to conduct job search, career research, and things like that. You can also complete your orientation steps. We will have an orientation booth at the job fair as well, or you can visit our centers or our website to do that. And you might be eligible for services where we can provide some additional assistance to help you prepare for these careers. And if you're already enrolled, just make sure you work really closely with your Workforce Connection team.
I've learned that people forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that quote does say it all. Your first impression is everything, and they do remember, depending on how it goes. So let's make it a good one.
Absolutely. And again, we got some QR codes so you can connect with us. We've got our adult and dislocated worker, our young adult services, and our general website information there.
All right. I think we are open for questions. We appreciate your patience, and definitely want to help you answer anything that you might be curious about now.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for being with us. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now so we can all be on the same view.
If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand and I will go ahead and unmute you. I have tried to answer the questions in the chat as we were going along.
Well, it looks like some great questions. Yeah, I think we're expecting some good weather this year, so it should be a really lovely late afternoon, early evening to be out there. So that's a great question. Do you feel like this was helpful, beneficial information to share ahead of time?
All right, well, seeing no questions, we will go ahead and end today's webinar. And you can always find it tomorrow on our social media channels. Thank you for joining us today.
Diane, we do have a couple questions.
Oh, here we go.
So Jody Miller asked, are we going to be checking in or registering? If you register ahead of time for the event where you'll be completing some information and sharing that with us, it'll just make it a little quicker as you come into the event. If you're not registered ahead of time, then you'll have the opportunity to register when you get to the front of the event. So yeah,
Yes.
great question.
So when you
And-
come, if you're pre-registered, there will be a pre-check-in where you just go in, let them know that you've pre-registered. You'll get a workforce connection grocery bag so that you can carry all of the great literature you're going to get at the event. And your link tree will be in it as well. If you're not registered, we're going to have signs with a QR code on them, so you can just use your phone to register right there at the event. And if you don't have the ability to do it on your phone, we're going to have laptops available as well that you can register. The event tomorrow, oh my goodness. The event is on Tuesday, April 30th. It begins at 2 o'clock. We won't be opening the gates before 2 o'clock because we will be setting up, and some of our employers are bringing vehicles in. So until those vehicles are in place, we cannot open the gates. So it will be from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, April 30th.
Great questions, everybody. Good job. And then make sure to also tell other friends and family members about this. You know, we really want to make sure it's a well-attended event. This is a great opportunity. So we look forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday. And like I said, share it with friends and family members too.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you at Govaganza.
Bye. Have a great